All right, welcome back to another one of our film reviews. Today we are talking Cincinnati Bengals rookie defensive lineman Kris Jenkins. Jenkins has emerged as a great playmaker for this Bengals defense, and they certainly need it in time for a massive Thursday night matchup. And we'll break down exactly what Jenkins is doing and how he can help this defense in a big-time AFC North game coming up. As always, if you appreciate this content, give us a like, give us any comments with any feedback you might have. But without further ado, let's jump right into the film. All right, let's open up with a pass rush play. There is Jenkins right there on the right side of your screen. He's lined up in a three technique. We call it a three technique because he's on the outside shoulder of the guard right there. If he was head up to slightly inside, we call that a 2-eye technique. Basically means he's a B-gap player, how they're structured, and he's going to rush right here trying to get to the quarterback. Over here on the left side of your screen, you may not be able to see him very good. There's Hendrickson. He obviously had a monster game against the Raiders. He had a great day, but it's a lot about teamwork, right? If you're going to have a really strong defensive performance, you need to have guys like Jenkins on the inside pushing the pocket, beating and winning these one-on-one matchups to help out your edge rushers. This plays a great example of that. Let's check it out. All right, there's a snap. You can see Jenkins with a nice pass rush move. I love that strength. I love that speed to power. You see how he threatens up the field vertically, gets slapped in the face. That's not great. Missed penalty there. But gets up the field vertically, then goes right to some power inside and walks 66 into the quarterback's lap. Again, quarterback wants to step up in the pocket, but he feels Jenkins barreling down on him. So what does number 10 do? He sits there. He doesn't step up. It allows Hendrickson, who had a monster day, to get him on the ground. This ends up being called an incomplete pass, so it wasn't a sack, I believe, against Hendrickson's stats, but he had a field day. Number 91's been a special player so far for Cincinnati this year. But it helps to have teamwork, right? You can't do it by yourself, especially against the Baltimore Ravens, one of the best offenses. I'd argue the best offense in football. You need everybody up front playing at a high level. And even if you're not winning the matchup and getting the sack on this play for Jenkins, walking the guard into the quarterback's lap is absolutely critical, because if you get this one-on-one matchup, you've got to give some help to your defensive ends. Imagine this is Lamar Jackson. He's going to want to step up in the pocket, but he ain't going to want to step into Jenkins right there. If he hangs back deep like this, which he's prone to do, the Bengals will get a lot of sacks against the Ravens. Let's watch it from the wide copy right here. Look at where the ball is snapped, the 27-yard line. Look at where this guard gets walked back, all the way to the 20-yard line, 7 yards back. Lamar Jackson, the Ravens quarterback, is an outstanding player. He's the front runner to win MVP again. But there's no quarterback alive that can survive when your guard's getting walked 7 yards back into your face. You can't, right? You can see Desmond Ridder, the backup quarterback for the Raiders here. He wants to step up, but he has to hang out at depth, which is exactly where Hendrickson wants him. This is teamwork. This is defense that has been missing for most of the year for the Cincinnati Bengals. And look, they're going to need it against the Ravens, obviously. The Ravens are really, really good. It's going to take an across the board. Everybody, left defensive end, Hendrickson, interior defensive line, Jenkins right here. This is what you need if you're going to beat Baltimore. All right, so we talk about teamwork and what it does. So on the previous play, Jenkins got pressure right into the quarterback's face. The quarterback couldn't step up. He had to hang back at depth and allowed Hendrickson to absolutely blow him up for a big-time hit. This time, the quarterback doesn't get much depth. He hangs pretty shallow. What does it mean? It means, Jenkins, if you get some pressure, you have a chance for an easy sack right here. This is what happens when you play as a team. If you get pressure in the quarterback's face, quarterback wants to get some depth. He gets killed by the pass rusher. Later on in the game, he's scared to get depth, so he hangs up close. Now it's your chance to get the sack. Nice play by Jenkins. Let's check it out. All right, there's the snap. Look at the quarterback. Now, look, it's supposed to be a quick throw, but you can tell he gets no depth, right? I guarantee you the Raiders' strategy was not to have the quarterback not even take a step drop, right? That's what, a quarter step drop? Right there. You'd like to think at least a 2 or 3 step drop, maybe a quick hitch or something. But you only run this because number 91, Hendrickson over here, has been embarrassing you all game long. So you don't get any depth, right? There's nowhere to go with the football because the coverage is good. What happens? Easy sack for Jenkins because he's walking the guard back yet again. Nothing special here from number 90. I love the speed to power. Watch how he threatens up the field and then turns and rushes the guard into the quarterback's lap. Not a terrible job right here from the guard. It's almost a lose-lose situation because obviously you're always worried about getting beat outside. But this is just good football, and this is what happens when you do your job and help out your teammate like we saw in the first play. Eventually the stats come to you. Nice rep by 90.
Yeah, Nick, and we see Jenkins here, first sack on the season for him. And that is just very fitting for the kind of game he had today versus the Raiders, especially in the pass rush department. By far, 20 points best pass rushing grade for him all season. A 74.1 pass rushing grade per PFF. Really starting to pop out in the pass rush game. This is a guy who has been struggling. He's been up and down all season in the pass rush department. But right here versus Raiders team, we see it here. We saw the play before this. he's really doing a phenomenal job.
All right, let's show a run defense. There's Jenkins right here, line up again in a 3 technique on the outside shoulder of the left guard for the Las Vegas Raiders. This is late in the game. The game's over at this point, but I want to show this play in formation because this is very similar stylistically to how the Bengals are going to have to line up against the Baltimore Ravens, because the Ravens play a lot out of a gun. Obviously, that's Derrick Henry. This is usually one of the great tight ends, whether it's Likely or Andrews. Likely maybe questionable to play. We'll have to see what happens there. But this is what the Ravens like to play in about 50% of the time. And what the Ravens love to do here, obviously, is they love to pound it with Derrick Henry inside and sometimes pull Jackson right here to see if he can get out of it. What that means is that on the backside, these defensive ends and usually backside safeties, they got to hang here. They got to play Jackson because he can win the game all by himself. What does that mean for the play side guys? When you get a double team like is going to happen right here, you've got to occupy both blockers. Even if you give up a little bit of movement, you have to make sure both of these guys aren't able to blow you off the football and then get up to a linebacker, right? You've got to make sure that your linebacker, in this case, number 45 right here, the backside linebacker, has a one-on-one opportunity with Derrick Henry, because that's tough because Derrick Henry's special. But here, if you get an offensive lineman on him too, if you don't do your job as an interior guy, Derrick Henry's going to get around this play for a field day all game long. This is an example of what Jenkins and the Bengals defense are going to have to do to contain the Ravens offense. Let's check it out. All right, there's a snap. You can see the double team. You can see the pulling guard. Again, it's not a zone read action right here because that's number 10, Desmond Ridder for the Raiders. He is not going to be pulling it, obviously. He's nowhere near Lamar Jackson. But you understand, backside defensive end, safety right here. You see Bell right here, number 24. He ain't flying this way for Derrick Henry. He's going to have to be staying on the backside a little bit longer against number 8, because Jackson, if he flies down like this, Jackson will keep this and score a touchdown on you. So what does it mean? It means you got to make sure, like I said, that these offensive linemen are preoccupied with you and don't get up to the backside linebacker. And that's what Jenkins does. Look how his knee dips right on contact. That is great technique. He feels a double team, drops a knee, splits it, forces the offensive lineman to kind of hang on him. He does a little bit of a holding effort there, but that's not a penalty. He does a good job just keeping both these guys kind of engaged with him right there. He gives up a little bit of ground, but doesn't get blown up completely. So what does that mean? It means 45 gets a clean shot at the running back right there for a 5-yard gain. That's winning football against the Ravens. What the Ravens love to do is they force you to have a safety and defensive end play Lamar Jackson on the backside. They get this double team. They get hats on hats. And then Derrick Henry runs for 3,000 yards against you on a single game, right? That's just how they're so good because of how special number 8 is and how special number 22 is for them. If you're going to win and limit Derrick Henry, you got to play good fundamental football. And this is a great example of that by Jenkins. All right, from the wide copy, you can see him right there. See how he kind of splits the double team. See how he drops that knee and turns his body skinny a little bit? That's really good work. Gives up a little bit of ground, but not much. And most importantly, no offensive lineman can get up to the backside linebacker. He's able to make the tackle. You can see exactly where the backside safety is. Again, if this is Lamar Jackson, this backside safety, if he flies down too much, Jackson will keep it and he'll be gone, right? It'll just be a nightmare day. This safety is going to have to be watching Jackson most of the game against the Ravens. It means your backside linebackers are going to have to stop Derrick Henry. They won't have a chance if offensive linemen get up to them. That's why Jenkins is going to have to do his job just like this all game long. All right, let's go back to a pass rush. There's Jenkins right there, in 3 technique right here for the Cincinnati Bengals. We're going to think about this like a 3rd and longish situation. I believe it's actually a 2nd and long in the Raiders game right here. But what the Raiders are going to do is they're going to slide the protection to the offensive left, right? Because they're scared to death of number 91 absolutely dominating him, and as he obviously did all game long. So what they're going to do is going to the left tackle work that direction, the left guard work this direction to kind of double team 91, have the center work up and take 93 one-on-one. It means on the backside, you're going to get one-on-one there and one-on-one there. If you get a one-on-one opportunity on the backside, if you're a 3 technique, this is a great chance right here because you're going to have a 3-way go. You can go outside, you can go through, and you can go inside, right? You have this opportunity. If you're going to be a quality defensive tackle in the NFL, a quality 3 technique, you get this one-on-one opportunity in a pass rush situation. You have to win. You have to check that box. Jenkins does just that on this one. Let's check it out. All right, there's a snap. You can see the Raiders, they're sliding their offensive line to the left side of the offense, right side of your screen. They do a terrible job of doing this, by the way. This left guard has to get more out in this B-gap area, allow the center to take over 93. Hendrickson continues his monster day, almost gets another sack, almost gets a sack fumble there. But let's watch Jenkins, number 90, right? Like I said, 3-way go. He threatens outside, goes with the spin move inside, pressure in the quarterback's face. Nicely done. I tell you what, I don't traditionally love spin moves for defensive linemen, but Jenkins is a good athlete, man. He's a guy that can pull it off, partially because he's so good with his speed to power and he's so consistent using that power 9 times out of 10. So a lot of times offensive linemen are thinking there's going to be some speed to power move right there. You do a spin move, and like you saw here, that guard has no chance. I don't want him to do this a lot, but every once in a while, it could be a good change of pace. Obviously worked here with a nice pressure.
Yeah, Nick, we're talking pressure, we're talking ability to make plays. I think again that is the key here to Jenkins' really big leap in the pass rush department all season up to this point, weeks 3 through 8, one total pressure. In this game alone, he has 2 total pressures. He got the 1 sack, as we saw earlier. Putting it all together, we're starting to see more big time plays made on the field, more impact made by Jenkins. He's really turning into a nice player, and I think we're going to start to see him get more and more playing time for this Bengals team.
All right, going back to a run defense, there's Jenkins right there, once again, lined up in a 3 technique. Here, the Raiders are going to do old school power football. They're going to get blocked down by the center right there. Backside tackle is going to anchor down. They're going to pull him, I should say, bring 84 in motion across here. Get up to the defensive end right here. Have the tight end insert for the linebacker. They're going to pull the backside guard to kind of lead through the hole just like that as well. Let me clear up the picture. They're going to try and get a double team right here on Jenkins, working up to the backside linebacker, and have the running back work through this direction right here. This is a play where Jenkins doesn't really do his best initially. He gets blown off the ball a little bit. Does a good job fighting through it. But I love his effort and his intensity. This is kind of the effort that allows the Bengals to potentially turn around their season on defense. Let's check it out. There's a tight end in motion. There's a snap. You can see the double team. You can see Brock Bowers working up to linebacker, tight end working out, guard pulling around. They got a chance here. This is a really good chance right here for a really nice run play here for the Raiders, right? They get movement. Jenkins, again, good technique. He's trying to get skinny and drop his knee to the ground. You can kind of see his knee right there, but he gets blown out of the hole a little bit. But here's what I love. Right here, not a good play, not a good play, not a good play, not a good play, right? Not great right there. But he keeps fighting. Watch him fight through over the top. He ends up making the play and pulling the running back. It's these effort plays, right? Because right here, earlier in the season, I felt this Bengals defense would give up a 15-yard run right up the middle, right? But it's the extra effort. It's fighting through blocks, even though you get blown off the ball initially, that I love from Jenkins. He's shown effort all season long. He's a high effort, high motor kind of guy. And again, has it been perfect? No, it's been a lot of inconsistencies from Jenkins. But what has never dipped for even a second is his drive, his motor. And plays like this are outstanding. Because right here, the Raiders offensively think they got a big win. Hats on hats, moving at the point of attack. This is going to be, right now I believe it's like 2nd and 6. It's going to be easily a first down, maybe even a chunk play. Instead, Jenkins fights through and makes a play, gets him to 3rd down. Nice rep by 90. From the wide copy right here, watch him there. He gets blown off the ball a little bit, gives up some yardage, but fights through the block, gets the running back on the ground. Effort, intensity, even when you don't win the rep, right? Because right here, if this is the Ravens, going back to that game, if you don't fight off this block, hats on hats, that's Derrick Henry out the gate for 15, 20, maybe even a touchdown, right? You've got to fight through these blocks. You've got to find a way to get 22 on the ground. It's going to take an effort like this, like we're seeing here from Jenkins. All right, let's talk fundamental defense. You can see Jenkins right here. He's lined up in a 3 technique here. This is going to be a standard inside zone concept right here that every NFL team runs a million times. So basically, the left tackle is going to work out this direction. We're going to get kind of a zone double team right here, working up to the linebacker. Center's working to reach this defensive tackle right here. We're going to call this defensive tackle a 2-eye because he's on the inside eye of the guard right there. So we're going to get a work up there. We're going to get a reach block here. This guard right here is trying to just do like a tight scoop technique there and just keep Jenkins right here in that gap on the backside. And this running back's going to follow this track right here, and he's going to see if he can hit this hole, if they can get hats on hats, or if these two guys right here, let me clear up the screen, if these two guys right here flow too much this direction, running back will cut back behind it. This is where you have to play good fundamental defense. This is really nice on this play by Jenkins, really terrible by this defensive tackle. Let's compare and contrast. Let's check it out. All right, there's a snap. You can see the left tackle working up. You can see the zone double team right here. And you can see Jenkins right here working through, trying to maintain his gap. Let's look at this play side right here with this 2-eye. He gets reached and thrown to the ground. That is downright terrible. This will lose you against the Baltimore Ravens. You'll give up 500 rushing yards against the Baltimore Ravens if you do stuff like this. Good Lord Almighty. Now they fire the safety here. Thank God for the Cincinnati Bengals, or the backside corner. I think that may be a nickel corner. I can't really tell. I believe that's a nickel corner. So it ends up being a smaller run than expected. You won't be able to get away with that against the Baltimore Ravens because the Ravens actually have some playmakers, unlike the Raiders. You've got to be better inside than this. This is absolutely terrible. But let's talk about fundamentals right here in terms of Jenkins. He's a B-gap player. So you talk about gap integrity. Maintains his gap, gets his hands into the guard's chest, He's on the right position, feet parallel to line of scrimmage. If it's a cutback, he's there for it. When the cutback goes away, he tries to fight over the top. I think he probably actually makes this play if this other defensive lineman right here isn't buried in the dirt. But irregardless of all that, he constricts the hole because right here, number 8, he wants to cut back. And I believe this defensive tackle, if Jenkins isn't there, probably gets pancaked other side of this hash mark right here. And maybe this running back can cut back and maybe crease this a little bit, right? Because maybe this is a tough play for the corner. But because Jenkins playing the fundamentals, right? Working across, great technique, fighting through it, he actually constricts the hole a little bit, runs into this offensive lineman who has his butt in the hole right there, ends up being a limited gain for the Raiders offense. It's a lot about fundamentals in the running game, and Jenkins delivers right here. Nice rep from the rookie.
Yeah, Nick, and we're talking about something maybe that Jenkins can work on. I think we see him do well. He gets stopped from doing it, but it appears as if he would have had a nice play in the run game here if everything would have been right. But he has been a little bit inconsistent in his run defense game. The 2 really nice games this season with a whole bunch of meh. I would say this game ended up grading out a little bit meh as well as far as his run defense prowess. Like I said, really putting something together special in the pass rush game here, but run defense, I think he could be a little bit more consistent. I think he could really build on that as well. So that might be something we want to see him work on in the future. But in this play right here, showing maybe something like this happen, these couple things happen, kind of lowers your grade. Something that's a little bit out of control. So I think we see the flash of a potential good play here. But maybe if he cleans some things up, his teammates don't hinder him, we're going to see some bigger grades in the run defense game for him going forward.
All right, let's end on a pass rush. There's Jenkins right there, line up in a 3 technique in this situation. Look, you can see the Raiders here. They're going empty. The Ravens love to go empty as well. A lot of teams like to go empty, especially if you have a mobile quarterback. Anytime you're in empty like this, what's going to happen is you're going to slide your protection away from the 2-eye just like this. So you're going to slide the protection this way. So that way, these 3 offensive linemen are responsible for these 2 defensive linemen right here. So basically what's going to end up happening is essentially going to be a double team right here. This guy one-on-one, and you're going to get one-on-one right here on the backside, one-on-one right here on the backside. And how this normally works if you have a mobile quarterback is this defensive lineman right here and this defensive edge rusher right here, they got to maintain their gap integrity because if this guy flies inside and he flies outside, mobile quarterback's just going to run through this all game long. So just by design and structure of the defense, it kind of limits what these 2 guys can do creative-wise in terms of pass rush. Puts a lot of pressure on this guy right here, right? Because you're going to have 2 guys on you, just like Jenkins will right here. If you can split them and get pressure on the quarterback's face, this offense or any offense cannot operate. Jenkins does a great job with it right here. Let's check it out. All right, there's a snap. You can see the offensive line slide to the right. You can see one-on-one on the backside. Watch what these backside edge rushers have to do, or the edge rusher and defensive tackle. See how none of them can really do a spin move or swim move or anything funky. It's all just power bull rush move. It's because if they get too out of position, right here, you can see there's no one on that side of the field. They have to maintain their lanes. Otherwise, the quarterback, whether it's Minshew here, or especially if it's a guy like Lamar Jackson, will crease them all game long. That means on the right side of the offense, left side of the defense, they've got to find a way to make some moves, and that's exactly what Jenkins does here. I love his hand placement right here. See how this offensive line goes flailing? That's good to see. Works through him here, splits these guys, keeps fighting, gets pressure in the quarterback's face. Hendrickson ends up getting the sack, but this is 100% on Jenkins. Because right here, this quarterback, he feels the pressure to his left. He wants to escape. Jenkins is right there splitting 2 guys, right? Because right here, if I freeze it right here, there is a chance if this tackle keeps working, I can't tell who that is right there, up the field, and Jenkins isn't able to split these guys, maybe he can escape for something positive. But because Jenkins is so good in the pass rush game, splitting 2 guys on him right here, forcing the quarterback to just sit in the pocket, nowhere to go, has to eat it. 91 gets the sack. Phenomenal rep right here from Jenkins. Again, doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but things like this win you games and will help you win games against some of the best competition in the NFL.